You know, how do we, as someone said, spike the Kool-Aid so that people, you know, get infused by it? Because it's been, you know, it's been very transformative for me personally, and I think for many, many people that I know. This, you know, the idea of being a connected leader, a connected educator, and so it just seems a shame that we can't, you know, get more people, you know, get more people involved. One of the things that Dan and I talked about recently, I read an article once about the sport of golf, right? Since 2000, I think between a period of 2003 to 2009, they studied the fact that in this country over $30 billion had been spent on golf equipment in the United States. $30 billion. And the goal of golf has not changed in that period of time. It's always to get that ball. You know, in fact, it's probably the most targeted sport that there is. There's no sport more simple than hit the ball until you get it in that hole. The average score for a round of golf has not changed one stroke since 1940. It's 100. The average, whether if you calculate guys who play on the tour versus, you know, other people who recorded, the average score for a round of golf has remained 100 for, you know, almost 100 years. So it's not the technology, it's not the tools, it's, you know, it's the player, it's how you're using the tools. But so one of the things that Dan and I talked about at this session was how to, you know, what are the essential questions that we have as leaders, and then only insofar as how, you know, technology helps us to sort of achieve those, and how that intersects with, you know, with your goals, and, you know, your goals as a leader. You know? One of the questions I throw out to you, know, like, how do you continue to learn? How do you learn? And what does learning mean to you?
I'm not going to jump on that question, but I'm going to jump on something else you said. You got me thinking about, you know, leading at all levels. You know, so all of us in here, regardless of our position or our title in our districts, we're leaders. And so getting that message out and building those relationships. I think one of the pieces that people who are not connected, what they need to see is that these are real. The relationships that we have built online are real. And so one of the things that helped me was taking a few people with me. You know, I kind of strong-armed a few folks. I nudge just as well as Lisa Mead does. A few folks to Edscape. And when they saw just how the relationship had grown online, I was meeting people face-to-face for the first time. I had never met George Kuros before, you know, we ended up at Edscape together. But they see that the relationships that we've built are real. They see that the struggles are the same, you know, regardless of where you're coming from. And you're no longer that silo, that island. You have people to tap into. So I think that's one of the things, is making the relationships known.
And I think also, Don alluded to it before, that we're not really talking about, in the title of our presentation, formal leadership, although all three of us have a leadership title in our respective school districts. We really believe that leadership is a choice, and being a connected educator is a choice. And it's really just hard, I think, at this point, and that's why we try to use essential questions, because we think it's a good curricular tool to kind of drive the conversation, to get people swimming in this deep end of the pool, if you will. Because we all have, and I'm sure you all do if you're here right now, a transformative experience through being connected. And I don't think any of us would be spending our time on a weekend talking about education unless there was something really exciting and really valuable about it. And it's just trying to infect more people. Don talked about the numbers. I had a conversation a while ago with Tom Whitby, who has 100,000 followers or something like that on Twitter. We were just trying to figure it out, you know, back of the envelope calculations. There's anywhere from 3 million to 6 million educators in the United States. In the United States. And then when you look at the amount of people that are on Twitter, the number one person with followership is maybe Steven Anderson, Web 2.0 Classroom. He's got like 110,000 followers. Really? So if you do those numbers, though, it's 2%. And that's just counting the United States. That's not counting educators abroad that follow. We know there's a large faction of connected educators abroad. But just think about that. There is a very small bubble of people who are experiencing these transformative learning environments asynchronously, synchronously, and we're using it to inform our practice, but how do we infect more people? And in some of the other sessions that we sat in this morning, we saw some frustration based on the reluctance in their own district. A lot of people are superstars outside of their district because they're speaking, communicating with like-minded people. And then when you go back to your district, it could be, oh, that's just your thing. And they don't realize the power if you can leverage the technology. Like I try to tell the teachers in our building, you know, don't just go generally on Twitter. You explain to them what it's about. You're not just going to follow celebrities and athletes. You're going to follow other educators who are in the field. And once you find the hashtag that is relevant or germane to your area, whether that be teaching 6th grade science, or whether that be teaching algebra, or whether it be an elementary school teacher, a literacy coach, as we all know, there are tens of thousands of hashtags out there, and there are probably tens of thousands, if not thousands, of ed chats going on a daily basis where you can glean so much information that you can use in your classroom immediately. So how do you learn?
So it's interesting to me that you say it's a choice, because now that I am connected and now that I'm on Twitter and my school district pushes Twitter, maybe too much, I almost feel like it's such a professional development tool that I almost feel bad for people who don't see that. Because
Amen.
I can learn,
Amen.
I can take my phone out for 5 minutes when I'm stuck at a traffic light and learn something like really cool. And they're not, and that kind of makes me sad. Because I feel like my learning is constant, and I want other people to have that as well.
Right. It's that great experience, no matter what you do in life, that you come across that you want to share with everyone. It's like going on a great vacation. You come home and you evangelize everything about that vacation, say you have to go there. And I feel like it's the same way with being a connected educator.
But it's even, you know, Dan, it's more than that, because like I'd love for you to go on this great vacation. I think it was really great. But whether you go or not doesn't benefit. It doesn't matter.
Good
you know?
point.
It's your loss. But actually, it really is our loss by other people not also being
Our
connected.
profession.
Yeah, because there's so many
Makes our
people from
profession
whom we
better.
could learn. You know, so in that regard, it really is our loss that other people
It
aren't
is.
involved. You know.
One thing to go back to your golf analogy, like I don't watch golf, but I know that one day, however many weeks ago, there was someone who got like, you know, minus 16, minus 17 was their final master's score or
Yeah.
whatever. And I just made the comment to the room, like, why would you watch golf if they're at minus 16? Why don't they just readjust the pars? And they were like, well, if enough people got minus 16, we would have to readjust the pars.
Yeah,
So I think in our world, we just need enough people that are out there, like making big strokes or big
Tipping
splashes,
It's
yeah,
a tipping point.
until so that people are following them.
Or
just talking golf.
hitting under par.
Yeah, until we change enough voices, or like,
Before it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
If you're not on it, you're the outsider
Yes.
versus you're on it.
Exactly. And we were talking in one of the previous sessions about trying to convince more people to get on board with it for the benefit of learning, not just for it being cool or fun or something that's a fad, but actually using it to make an impact in classrooms and revolutionize, if you will, education. But the problem that you run up against is that it seems that it's like EdCamp. The notion of EdCamp is not pervasive in the field. But a day like today, where the United States Department of Education is hosting this gives credibility to the people who believe in it, to take it back to their districts, to say, the Department of Education is doing this. NASSP had their inaugural EdCamp this year at their annual conference. That's really important, I think, to help us move the needle. Because when we go back and talk to our colleagues and our constituents, I don't think it's credible or see like the actual merit in it. And then just to parlay that a little further, it's like the standard high watermark for literature and education is probably ASCD's Ed Leadership monthly magazine, right? And there are tons of published articles and endorsements of being a connected educator.
So you're saying
Professional.
make the link between the format that people maybe are used to and
Well, right, because that's the industry or the professional standard. So I don't think any longer are we like the fringe, trying to bring everybody along. The industry has accepted this as practice that benefits students, benefits learning. So we need to leverage that.
I think the connected part, I think that I wonder if some administrators are connected in other locations that they do feel connected. For example, Facebook. I know as a leader, for me, using Twitter for the important things that I deal with as a leader is not an appropriate avenue because it is a public forum. So as a leader, I can model stuff and I can do stuff on Twitter, but there are times as a leader that I need his help and I can't ask him on Twitter, how are you handling this? So I think some leaders are on other platforms and if you kind of sneak into that platform for them, so our principals organization has a Facebook group. So just the leaders, just principals are in that group, and then we share the articles that we find on Twitter, and we share the articles that we find on other things, but then we can also share, things that we need help with as well. So I just wonder, are other leaders or educators connected somewhere else that you could stick some educational stuff in, sneak it in there every now and then, like on Facebook? If I like something educational, it's going to show up for everybody in my network to see.
Yeah. I've actually just recently had my whole, my educational connected world has just totally gone into my Facebook world lately, and that's been great, because I'm picking up blog posts I would never have done if I hadn't started to friend lots of great people on Facebook too. I just pulled the trigger on it. I just said, you know what, I'm going to start my board presidents on my Facebook page now. All these people, and it was a good breakthrough for me because I'm learning a lot more. I'm picking up a lot of things I wouldn't have seen if I wasn't doing that kind of area.
Well, Harvard Business Review talks a lot about people struggling with work-life balance, right? But they have a new concept that I've pretty much adopted, and I think it's a good model. It's not so much work-life balance anymore, it's work-life integration. It's how you integrate those two things, because what you do is who you are. As an educator, it's who you are. It's not necessarily what you do. You don't turn off your education hat when you're at home or when you're on vacation. And, via technology, of course it's good to unplug and make sure that you're not getting consumed with it and obsessed with it. But we have to start looking at a paradigm shift from work-life balance to work-life integration. I think that mindset can help.
There's lots of ways to engage too. There's not just one platform to use.
Right.
And so I think, and I agree with what Don said. I see a lot more of kind of that cross-pollination, between those and integrating. Voxer is another one. You were talking about, ways to make things more private. One of the things I love is, Joe Mazza and the group that's doing the back channel EDU.
Yeah.
For leaders particularly, talking about scenarios and kind of brainstorming.
You guys familiar with back channel EDU? Anyone listen to that?
I think
Really
those
cool
things are very
podcast.
powerful, so you can have some of those deeper conversations and learn from one another.
We made a video for Twitter teaching. Joe uses it all the time. Joe uses it in a lot
Is
of
that the
different.
one that he's been tweeting out?
That's it.
Is
Yeah,
that,
that's
is that
us.
yours?
I put it on the
Yes.
yeah. It's on the resource.
Did you put
That's
it
our
up?
that's our
I
district.
haven't got to watch it yet, but it looked like he was putting it out. It looked awesome.
Yeah, he uses it a lot. We've been friends on Twitter for 4 years now, and what we wanted to do was to make a video that explained to our teachers our vision for how to use Twitter, and that we could work, use it together to help problem solve things that resources that we needed in our classroom. I'm the instructional technology coach for 5 elementary schools, so I needed just a fast way that I could get my PL in to help all of our teachers together. So that's ours.
That's great.
So yeah, I shared that one.
Where are you?
District 123 in Oak Lawn. It's just south of Midway Airport.